Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells you all regarding family court, criminal court, and other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com, and you can have the books in audio as well. Now, I have a brand new guest on. I have Ellie on. She's a Ukrainian legal immigrant mom who came to the U.S. for a brighter future and lost her daughter to a greedy money court involving a dependency judge. She wants to talk about Shasta County, California, to shed light on the foster care business and Title 4E funding. And if people don't know what that is, it's a federal program that provides grants to states and tribes for child welfare services, including foster care, adoption assistance, and kinship guardianship payments for eligible children and youth. It offers federal matching funds. Hello, wake up taxpayer, based on state per capita income ranging from 50 to 83% for maintenance, administrative, and training costs. A new optional component, the Title 4E prevention program, was created by the Family First Prevention Services Act to provide time-limited services for children at risk or entering foster care. So I'm going to say this. When people say it takes a village to raise a child, this is where this is coming out of the 1997 ASFA that Bill Clinton signed over. Thanks, Bill. You're a big help. I welcome you, Ellie, to Slam the Gavel podcast. How are you?
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for listening. This is going to be a really heartbreaking and hair-raising story that our family hopes will be a waking call to all the parents, especially those who do not believe this is happening. This is happening in front of everybody's nose.
So when this is happening, I know a lot of people don't get it yet.
They do not believe that CPS can simply come and take your child because in our case, we did not want to transition our mentally fragile and unstable daughter and didn't want to send her to hormonal therapy and to allow her to cut off her beautiful breasts to achieve some imaginary happiness as she was made to believe.
So she wanted a double mastectomy. Tell me more about that.
It did not just pop up like that. She has a history of bullying in another state, which we arrived to as two legal Ukrainian immigrants on H-1B visas with two bags. My husband had only $700 filled with books and tools because he's an engineer, and he had a very hungry 90s in Ukraine after the collapse of the Soviet Union in 1990. And Ukraine is, as you know, is at war right now. So it all came together, and he picked the United States as the country of his dream to provide for something that neither himself nor his family had: a good house, a good, good food, maybe a car, like something that American dream possibly could be called. Right. And we started building this future in a blue state. Now we know that there are blue states, there are red states. We didn't know then. At the end of the year of 2007, 2008, we started building legally, paying taxes, being honest and straightforward. We received green card, and then we got naturalized. We got our beautiful daughter, a very creative, vivacious daughter who had a sad experience in the state's school, bullying by children and by educators. She ended up with mental traumas, We kept moving district for district, location for location. Then COVID hit. We went to Ukraine for a family trip. And because we were all locked down, she went online because she was craving for friends and ended up at a very, parents, I'm warning you, this is very important for you to pay attention, which we didn't know we were supposed to be doing. She went on Discord. It's a app for playing online games and chatting, streaming at the same time. Then when the borders reopened, we went back to give the United States another chance. Maybe we made a mistake because dad worked remotely and he happened to find a job in San Francisco area. He can work from home. His job allows him to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And we lived in Bay Area, rented a townhouse, which was pretty expensive. And when the lease was coming to an end, we went on Zillow and we found this beautiful home in Redding, California, near the mountains. After all, what we went through this girl, and it was a lot of aggression, negativity, auto-aggression, even hospitalization for evaluation in a private mental health clinic because she was homicidal and suicidal. She was around the age of 11 and 12, a real critical age when girls enter puberty.
Mm-hmm.
We went through really hell with her. So we wanted to find peace in this mountain area, and we thought we did. We actually went through a phone fire in the year of 2021. We did not even unpack in this beautiful home we landed in. And then she had also an accident in a school involving her head that alarmed us if we really can trust public schools. And she did a little bit of homeschooling at the time because it was the leftovers of COVID, but she was craving for real life friendship. And we ended up at a Phoenix Charter School. I'm giving the name officially because the transgender ideology, affirming foster care business connections started right there. At the same time, she was trying to figure out how come she was bullied by teachers in another state where we basically moved from and ran away from. She is a smart girl and was digging into a lot of psychology reading, and she figured that she probably was a hyperactive child and that made her teachers unhappy, and she did a little bit of self-testing, and she asked to be tested and confirmed for ADHD, which we did. She also ended up being confirmed for ODD, MDD, anxiety disorder, and a little bit with time, after she started in this Phoenix Charter Academy, she also got confirmed with a pretty serious, for a youngster, mental disorder called BPD. Let's decipher it. It's borderline personality disorder. She had a hard time making in-person friends, and she was blaming herself for this past experience with this self-esteem that she ended up with, social anxiety, some communication skills. Thus, she resorted to isolation in her own room, playing these games, chatting on Discord, but she was looking for a magic pill, and she asked to be seen by a psychiatrist. And since Reading is a pretty rough place to find a good medical provider, including special providers like psychiatrists, we ended up at Mercy Family Health Center. It's a residential place, and an hour then a family provider gave a referral to the psychiatrist whose name I can now name. It's Michelle Sager, who saw her in Mercy for quite a couple of visits, but then she self-referred to Children's Legacy Center for Resilience. It was at that time a new mental health clinic that Sager claimed was helping children with traumas. And at that point, we believed it was so, and we eagerly agreed. And eventually, Dr. Sager saw me for my anxiety because like I
Mm.
mentioned, I went through a lot of predicament and ordeal with this girl. And she prescribed her really heavy psychotropes, including lithium products.
Whoa.
She
Because,
suspiciously at the time, but I trusted her. She agreed to give my daughter any diagnosis she wants. Maybe she wanted to play with her to get some trust because teens are really hard to establish rapport with. And I saw this girl with years and months of going through all these tortures and tormenting, from educational bullying to mental disorders and these swings of mood and aggression, that I hope that there was somebody we could trust that could make her happy. And
mm,
it was the beginning of the year of 2023 that Dr. Sager started seeing her in CLC, and we never gave up hope to find her good friends in real life, in person. I went on Facebook, I made posts, we had play dates with other teens, including somebody from trans community, because at that point our daughter was gradually having her hair cut shorter. She was I thought it was a phase that she
uh-huh.
needed to go through, and she picked a unisex name that she really wanted
Mm.
us to call her. She also was gradually was getting rid of her female wardrobe. And the first time she used a male bathroom in Walmart was the middle of 2023. We sort of accommodated her with it, and we didn't know that it would come to such a horrible and tragic development that basically in 2024, Dr. Sager, instead of addressing our daughter's real mental issues, she stabbed us in the back and filed to CPS, and our daughter was taken with a lot of violations. I'm able and I'm willing to talk about, because this is blatant violation of any constitutional and parental rights you can think of.
I was going to ask you this. So at the age of 12, I'm guessing she was put on lithium.
She took lithium for her aggression from, I guess, February to maybe July. And it's a heavy
Oh,
psychotrope because it involves a lot of blood testing, monitoring her pulse, her blood circulation, her pressure, and it requires to monitor how hydrated she stays.
hmm
It's
hmm
it's a very big stress for a teen organism.
And I just want the background of lithium. This I'm going through this online here. Lithium medication was first introduced in the mid 19th century. This is how old lithium is. And I was a psychiatric nurse, and I was told that this is a very old medication, and we're
Yes.
still using it today on juveniles. She should not have been on that medication, in my opinion. I'm not a doctor. I can't give an opinion really,
Yes.
but she's far too young to be on that. And it says here that lithium was officially recognized as a treatment for bipolar disorder.
She had some symptoms of bipolar, like swings of mood, outbursts, but she was never diagnosed with bipolar.
Mm.
After lithium, this doctor suggested going on Seroquel, which is not better.
Uh, uh,
And moreover, she was prescribing, if needed, 2 or 3 pills. at night.
That would knock out a horse, whatever that
And
dosage is.
and yes, and that made her drowsy. And eventually by September 2023, they agreed. I will say why I'm using they, because at some point they actually kicked me out of Sager's office where she saw my daughter one on one. And I regret now that I left that office, but I was really afraid. I acknowledge that I didn't know my parental rights,
Hmm.
and that made Sager extremely unhinged, and she was doing what she was doing. She was grooming her, she was
Hmm.
indoctrinating her, and she was alienating her from the rest of the family. So
Well,
in September, they agreed that our daughter takes Seroquel only on demand. I was responsible for administering it, and I was storing all those containers. So there was no way that she possibly could take the tablets.
hmm.
But there were outbursts. There were still outbursts of anger, and one day we had to remove the lock from her bedroom because she did track me taking those pills, and she locked up in her room, so we had to remove the lock. And one of the allegations of CPS is that we broke into her bedroom. So we will talk about more lies, but the limelight of this, that you cannot trust the doctor. And Sager eventually started treating me for anxiety, and she experimented on me with 5 different antidepressants, not at the same time, of course, but one after the other, one of them being Remeron,
Okay. Remeron.
mirtazapine. It was horrible. She prescribed me like the lowest dose, and I could not get up from my bed. I could
Oh.
not even send my child to the school. I felt like sleeping, and it was horrible.
Mm.
So she was playing with me, eventually figure, to make me like a veggie, to make me a controllable tool, to split me from my husband and affirm our daughter, because this is what the cult ideologues do. They split the members of the family, they alienate them against each other, because this is a lot of money. But there was nothing we knew until our daughter was removed, which was at the beginning of June 2024.
Oh.
Sager was calling her a male name, February 2024, whereas I heard this male name only when a police officer came to speak with me at my porch on the day of removal, which is the beginning of June. And I received my own records from CLC. Sager never allowed me to see my daughter's records. It's understandable. It's California. You're not entitled to
Right.
anything right now, we figure, after the 18 months of ordeal. But and they really struggled with giving me my records. They withheld a few pages referring to some technical difficulties, and it's clearly saying that she was calling my daughter a male name from the February, and I didn't know anything about it.
I'm so sorry. Uh, Parents need to be aware that this can happen and that I was told on another podcast that even if you're in another state, like even we'll say I'm in Pennsylvania, but if
Mhm.
my kid said something like, I like the color pink and now I want to be a girl. And I said, no, you're not, you're what you are, blah, blah. And they went to school. Let's say they go to school and tell a teacher, this is what my mom said. That teacher will call, because they're mandated reporters, they will call
Yes,
CPS and they will take that kid and ship them out there to California. That's what I was told. Bear in mind, if there's anyone out there that says I'm wrong, please correct me.
the school. She went to Phoenix Charter, and they violated our all educational rights, especially after she was taken. And I just want to let you know that the principal of the school, Patricia Dougherty, is close cronies with the one of the caretakers
Hmm.
from who our daughter now is surrounded with, who affirm, who our glitter family. And she went to the same class with their son, who CPS placed her in the same bedroom with. So these people are nothing but professional glitters that packed their home, their foster home, with the maximum of children with severe mental traumas.
Mm-hmm.
In California, you're only allowed to place no more than 6 children, and that's what they did. So my daughter,
Mm.
since she identifies as a boy, she was placed to share her bedroom with her classmate. And now I have a big suspicion that by now, she might be pregnant because a lot of indirect evidence. Of course, nobody told us. I'm receiving some insurance claims. I'm analyzing all the communication with CPS and what they file. She left virgin,
Uh-huh.
and some insurance claims show that she's having, I don't know, active, but she's having sexual life,
Yeah.
judging by the prescriptions that they're listed, birth control, possible STD medications, and Quest sent us a bill, which I never held before in my hands, with empty page where the description of the services is supposed to be. So it was in July. I called Quest immediately, and they dictated me the list of the services that they tested her blood for, and one of them was ACG, which is a human drop-in hormone. It's to confirm the pregnancy, and it was in March, and we are in end of October right now.
Yeah, that's a human chorionic gonadotropin releasing hormone to
Yes.
test for pregnancy. Oh,
The school stopped proper adequate communication with us after she was taken from some visits that we are having none now. In August, our daughter, when she was talking to us, because she is right now, not she isn't right now anymore.
mm,
She acknowledged, she confessed that this caretaker, without us knowing, and we lost only the physical custody. We never lost any medical or parental rights, and that's a lot to be mentioned further on. He took her and this classmate to a school meeting with the teachers during vacation break before a student goes back to school. They discuss college classes, and it was right there before the beginning of the 11th grade, which she really cared so much. It's one of the critical years, the
mm-hmm.
11th grade. I know she confessed to me she really cared about this grade. I don't believe she successfully completed it, but I'm cut off from all the possible adequate information from the school. So behind our backs, these people, uh, facilitated by the principal, they brought our daughter appearing with a stranger and without notifying us. We immediately requested a school meeting with the entire administration, including all past and present teachers of our daughter. And the principal acted very unprofessionally.
Mm-hmm.
She was hostile, she was immaturely acting, and she immediately started calling the social worker. And the social worker was on the phone, and she did confirm that we did carry educational rights and that we are entitled to the information. And Dr. Dougherty tried to make it all as a joke, like, oh, I know this guy, and since your child is a foster in this home, I'm actually not supposed to know where my child resides. It's just because that I knew these people because my daughter was having play dates with their son and some outings. You are not entitled to actually know where your child resides in foster care.
Oh,
So they tried
God.
to make it really frivolous, casual, but we demanded that we be informed of every progress, and I requested verbally that maybe she is granted 504 or IEP because she might be struggling due to the stress. And they they denied it. Later on, I found out that you are supposed to do it in writing, which we did this year, this summer, and there's more violations. They re-enrolled the child into the same school. Apparently, the caregivers signed the consent. We said that we do not give the consent for our daughter to return to Phoenix, and she actually is still going to Phoenix. And we did request this 504 and an IEP evaluation based on her disabilities, which are ADHD, ODD, BPD, MDD, anxiety disorder. She is entitled to have an evaluation. So Dougherty sent at least 20 emails with a lot of errors, even in her name. She kept pushing this social transitioning. She kept calling her a male name. And right now she is not returning any emails of us. She's absolutely cutting us off in terms of adequate providing of any progress. And I do not believe that the attendance and grades that we did get access to after that meeting, they are adequately displayed. I know that while in the foster care, in the care of these people, last year in 11th grade, she did not take any state exams. So she's falling apart. She's regressing. And there's much more to it.
I'm so sorry this is happening. This is, people will think this is a crazy story, but it's happening to you and other parents. And
The judge, I'm
go
sorry,
ahead.
go
You
ahead.
go ahead.
The judge delayed this case without ever addressing alienation. The child has become completely alienated. CPS program manager Shannon Anderson bullied us, harassed us, set us up, and was doing ambushes, making the child dysregulate, writing horrible, deceptive, discriminatory reports on how the visits go, canceling those visits, writing a memorandum, recommending our child not to ever see us at visitations, physically blocking our child at a Turtle Bay Bridge, which we begged for community visits. You need to know that their visitation center on Yuba Street is like a Gestapo interrogation center building with no windows, rooms with little tykes, toys with faded colors that are made for toddlers, stained rugs, old and broken futons to sit on. And they were forcing us to use English because we use only Russian and Ukrainian with our children ever since they were born. It's fundamental in our family.
It's your
So they were
culture.
blackmailing us. They
Right.
were blackmailing us to use English so that they could control what we say to our daughter. I'm quoting them so that they could write good reports to court. That's what CPS did. And eventually they went so far that our child stopped making eye contact with us, talking to us, and taking gifts like Christmas gifts, Thanksgiving gifts, and even warm things from our hands. They lie and twist information as if it's part of their job. I spent nights of journaling all visits after we had them. I spent nights and dawns on writing corrections of all the nonsense and lies that they wrote about us. They never were interested to learn about who they deal with. They never provided a Ukrainian or Russian language social worker to better understand what mentality and historical and religious and cultural contexts we were coming from. They even judged us by our body language, which is very drastically different from American. We don't have validation. We do not say, I'm sorry. when dealing with difficult situations, talking to people, we just do not have the phrase "I'm sorry" like at all. But
Mm,
it doesn't mean that we are abusive or aggressive. We do not have open, broad smile. We have actually uh, even some proverbs that actually condemn showing teeth and smiling too broadly, because it's actually historically stipulated. It
mm,
comes from history of a lot of wars, a lot of survival. We can be called stoic if it's something that would be
mm.
helpful to understand us with. So it was really discriminatory and really painful and disrespectful to read, for instance, that the mother came with a closed smile.
Wha-
One of CPS workers that was subbing another social work aide, she tracked me to the bathroom and she was eavesdropping while I was using the bathroom, and she wrote, "The mother was yelling in the bathroom." I just want you to know that what we have gone through is not something that even somebody with strong nervous system can endure.
mm.
We are Ukrainians, we are fighters, we are survivors, but this is just, it's like gas chamber in war times that these people were doing to us only for just caring for our daughter and refusing to sterilize her. Because at one of the visitations before her 16th birthday, in presence of these people, two people monitoring parents at a visitation, that she was forcing me, my daughter, to write a consent for testosterone.
Oh,
And actually, she self-harmed in that glitter foster care to at least 2 or 3 times documented by CPS. What other things that she has done to herself, what we are not aware of, we can only guess.
oh,
But the judge kept delaying and delaying. We had at least 12 hearings, and her youth counsel, Michael Horan, had 2 or 3 or 4 vacations, making it impossible for the timely hearings. Our child was falling apart. Meanwhile, the child is aging out, and the
mm,
child
mhm,
is estranged. Nobody addressed it. She was coached to call us biological parents at some point. It never happened before. So the judge ruled on home maintenance with CPS oversight, claiming at the same time that parents are a safe place to return. She twisted her own words. Molly Bigelow twisted her own promises. Even on record, she was promising a new team because these people, they're public workers. I can say their names. They're Mandy Moore. You can Google her salary online, how much she makes, how much she makes overtime. She was never there. She hardly responded to our inquiries, being very brushing away, ignoring,
mhm,
deceptive. Jennifer Zepegi, a young social worker who doesn't know how to write under dictation. When we had these family history meetings, she called me Russian. And for a Ukrainian, it's pretty insulting,
mhm.
especially at war times. She twisted a lot of my words. She twisted a lot of information I had to correct afterwards. So these people, they don't even hold on to a proper etiquette. They come in flip-flops. They come in beach attire. They smirk at court hearings. They roll their eyes at CFTs. And Mandy Moore allowed herself to jump up from her seat in a court hearing and scream to the judge. It's unacceptable. So they were so biased and not neutral. So we, until the court ruling, not decision, the Judge Bigelow still keeps the case open. Judge ruled that she promised to have a new team, not unannounced CPS oversight visits once a month for the home maintenance ruling, and she never kept her promise. She ruled on our daughter to be placed in our home, which is very unsafe. Our daughter was leaving the home and we saw her computer unlocked. She still had this Discord communication with a sex predator, which CPS never cared about. Going that she has the urge either to hurt herself or the parents, but then they are right about me. So she basically was coached all this time by a sex predator that CPS in their initial petition marked her CSEC. We didn't know what it means. CSEC is potentially commercially sexually exploited child. And at all CFTs, we asked for them to investigate this person who claimed to be a 70-year-old autistic boy from Kansas. But if you look at the communication with our child, it appears to be that it's more than even two people talking, that the language and wording and vocabulary is very different. One could be a teen or a very trained and skilled adult who knows slang, who knows how to maybe hypnotize and coach a teen online, and the other one was using perfect knowledge on CPS context to groom our child out of the home. He wanted to live with her, according to this communication. He loved her. He hated us, and he was looking for the best ways to file an emotional abuse report against us. It's all in one place. We suspect that it was Dr. Sager, or at least somebody from the school administration, who definitely is financially interested in this chain to receive money for our daughter, who not is only mentally unstable child and requires psychiatric and psychological attention, but when a magic word, "I think I'm trans," appears, then there is more financial interest to take this child out of parents' care. And we can talk about finance now.
Definitely. So when a kid says trans, then ding, ding, ding,
Yes,
they,
life changes immediately for the
uh-huh.
entire surrounding of that child.
So there's more financial incentives when a child says they're trans.
We try to dig into the financial aspect of this funding for foster care business, Title 4E,
Mhm.
and with all these disorders that our daughter has, all the appointments and all the medical and psychiatric care, it's around $4,500 to $5,000 or $6,000 a month.
Mhm, mhm.
Also, I know from addendum report from CPS in December that I received it, but that the following day, after Sager's office filed to CPS against us and our daughter was taken, after that, she actually had forensics at their office, coincidentally. And the following day, Dr. Sager sent a referral to a gender-affirming clinic called Stonewall Alliance in Chico, California. That we only learned in December. So that's a lot of financial motivation for these people to keep our daughter away from us. And she actually is lied to all the time at one of the visitations when we brought this print out to her saying, "See, that's what they're getting for you." She says, "But my foster mom told me that they receive only 500 for me."
And there's also probably five other kids in that home, right?
Yes, I saw one of those kids. It's a girl that doesn't talk, that the caregiver brought to the visits with us. This this fact disrupted a few of the one of the best community visits that we had. After that, she was alienated. So they pushed the caregiver to the visits. They violated all the rights that we had. They broke all the boundaries by imposing these people and blackmailing us that if, for instance, this foster mom is not allowed to, oh, I think it was January visits, then our daughter is not going to have it. So we were completely cut off. Our rights were completely erased. And meanwhile, after the judge verbally, not in writing, verbally ruled on home maintenance that included bringing our daughter back to us within 5 days. 5 days. Allegedly, our daughter filed a domestic violence restraining order and emancipation petition. We only saw a week later the texts of those DVROs that probably neither CPS nor the judge nor the glitter fosters were prepared us to do.
Mm.
We are working with a handwriting specialist. We believe that one of the initial DVROs are forged because the handwriting, especially the signature, doesn't look like our daughter's. The letters are bigger, and the text of with allegations is like double traced. It looks like we have a scanner copy because we were not provided with the original in court.
Right.
It looks like it's double traced. Somebody used like a pencil to copy her handwriting, and then they use like a Sharpie or a pen, and then they erase her handwriting. But the printer, I mean, the scanner and printer is able to reflect on that, all that. So the judge denied those because they were improperly filed. I don't know what happened in that foster home, that they went to the wrong place. They went to family court, and the judge denied it, but they filed a few days later. And I assume that our daughter was forced to sign and write those, but because they look like they contain her actual handwriting, and they were accepted, but they were denied until hearing. So as you imagine, that there was a lot of, again, a lot of deceptive information. Notably, the judge listened to a lot of allegations that our daughter is outlining, and I testified upon those, and the judge did dismiss them. Other than that, she would not write in the court order that the parents are a safe place to return to. So she basically lied about those, and she added more nonsense, which was a waking call that it's not safe for us to remain, at least me and my little 8-year-old, who was very traumatized by then. We started fearing for his safety, and I took him. I packed one bag and I left California into nowhere.
I don't blame you.
Because the DV hearing was scheduled 3 weeks later. During that time, anything could happen. They could bring our daughter and she could just harm herself because she has dependency issues. She acknowledged herself and she's absolutely controllable by them. I could see by that her testimony, she speaks as their megaphone. She says what they want her to say. And we did not trust that we were safe even in our home, and that they could take our son from his current school. It's Reading STEM Academy that slandered me when the social worker, Crystal Nelson, came and took our daughter with a lot of violations of due process. I did not outline it. She came with no badge, ID, no court paperwork. Everything was recorded upon camera, and she hid her car in the distance from the home. So she came as a solicitor, and she was accusing us at the porch, and she never produced any court paperwork upon our request. And she told our daughter upon camera that she cannot legally drive her. She has to leave the property on her own. until the gate so that Nelson could take her, and our daughter left home barefoot. And my husband was nearby. He never allowed himself to go physical, which Nelson was provoking all the time. She tried to provoke physical aggression. She was talking in a manipulative, repetitive manner, but he was holding on in a very good manner. That is all entered as a record. She came with no LE officer, and he had her call one because he could not verify her identity.
Right,
And
right.
she did call 911. Guess what happened? 8 cop cars came. 8 cop cars came
That's
to
overkill.
take one single child from their parents' care. And that LE officer, his name is Foster, he lied in his sheriff report. In his November report we received in November, he lied on camera that I was yelling at him, that I opened the door so that I could hit myself. And I still cannot receive those 911 logs from sheriff's office. I requested them twice, and one of the supervisors monitoring the archives being released. First of all, I called last week. She no longer works there. Interesting. And I have all communication with her saying that this deputy is still fixing his narrative. This is what Shasta County looks like. Can you imagine why we left the mafia place? Because we are not protected neither by police nor even in our own homes. We were slandered. I was slandered by the principal and the vice principal of Reading STEM when Nelson came inquire if my sons,
Ooh.
can be deemed as under abuse. And instead of saying how I'm fighting for both my daughter and my son, because they know the story of her bullying, of my protecting and defending her, they called me volatile. And I have that all in writing, all in writing. So imagine the year we lived by sending our 8-year-old to this charter school and shaking every time before the pickup time was coming. It's the year of extreme anxiety, distrust, and being on alert and never safe.
I am so horrified, and the story has to be told.
They are silencing us, our own attorneys were filling their emails with unprofessional aggression, blackmailing, because we started posting the truth on Facebook and X, and they never accepted that this was a self-defense.
Mhm.
So eventually I had to fire them because I could not stand that retaliation, that manipulation, and ignoring all our concerns about our daughter being extremely and absolutely alienated and unsafe with that ruling that the judge made. That right now we are hiding in a red state, awaiting another court hearing, which is dedicated to emancipation. Then the CPS filed 387, allegedly lack of provision of care, that we never claimed our daughter to our physical custody because we were afraid to do so because she filed DVROs. And even in emancipation petition, allegedly she accuses us of physical and emotional abuse. So CPS accepts all lies from hearsay.
Mhm.
They
Mhm.
spice up all that lies with their own lies. And the judge rules that the parents have to sit down and work with agency in her disposition court ruling.
That's what the judges all do. They will go off of what CPS is saying. I was warned by another nurse this would happen, that whatever comes out of the caseworker's mouth, they're going to go with because they can't make a decision for themselves and they don't want to be responsible for that decision because they
The
can't think for
judge,
themselves.
the judge openly socially transitions our daughter in the courtroom, calling her male name that was explicitly done in September last year, after which the CPS PM Anderson went unhinged and started canceling those visits and switched on heavy duty alienation because she received a signal from Bigelow. She received a
Mhm.
signal that I want, and she used the male name of our daughter, to have a voice in it. And then everything went as they wanted.
Mm.
She also refused our concerns to move our daughter from this glitter foster placement where she shared the same bedroom with a biological 17-year-old. And that's what the judge is doing. The judge is granting youth counsel to go on vacation. It's been maybe fourth or fifth time that he's unavailable. And of course, if a youth counsel is unavailable, there won't be a hearing.
Mhm, mhm.
For other hearings, she can find time. But for the critical hearings that can remedy our family situation, they're always busy. The judge delayed and delayed and delayed. We had this out of state counsel coming from another state with two time changes, with two flights. Uh, I'm struggling with my English now. With two different flights, and she granted her only 40 minutes. So basically, there was not a hearing on that day.
Yeah.
And CPS was pushing a lot of JVs for stuffing our daughter with 4 different psychotropes behind our backs, and we still held our medical rights. They were all violated. Maybe in the next podcast, I will be able to dwell on other ambushes that
Oh,
we luckily and successfully survived, but what they did is absolutely jaw-dropping
it
and
is.
hair-raising. We do not believe that the judge will rule on anything positive because many times we ask for her to dismiss the case. This case should never have existed. They fabricated the case. They only came and took her. And in the amended petition in September last year, ta-da, the
Mhm.
judge accepted the statement from CPS that we are culturally unfit to raise our daughter in the present day modern West values. So
Oh,
that's what they call us.
oh my gosh. Culturally unfit. Um, does that, okay, I'm not a lawyer or anything, but can that fall under ADA violations? If there's someone listening to this, please let me know.
We are looking for a federal and civil rights lawsuit firm that can represent us. At this point, they say that we can file a federal lawsuit. We are intending to file against the psychiatrist, this CLC.
Hmm.
We also intending to file against the school because the school has been withholding our daughter's school records, including internal emails mentioning hers and our names. We filed FERPA. We filed many complaints. Name any organization, an agency that can investigate these people.
Hmm.
I was bounced just football back. I saved all the responses, and that's ridiculous. In California, even a social worker that is not licensed on the Board of Behavioral Sciences, I guess, BSS, these people, they are not even social workers, but they have been withholding our daughter for 18 months now. I filed against anyone you can think in that chain, in that corrupt chain. Zero result so far.
Oh, Oh man.
We are looking for any help that can be granted. We are looking for lawyers to represent us at federal level. We are looking for DOJ and FBI connections. Anyone from Trump administration, please help us. We are getting desperate, but we are not giving up. This is our daughter. This is her life. This is her reproductive health that they're trying to take away from her. And until as long as we breathe, we will not stop fighting for her.
Oh, I this reminds me of another case of let me look this up here. Of Jeff Younger. Do you know about the Jeff Younger case? Have you heard of it?
Yes, I'm following Jeff. Also, I'm
Uh-huh.
friends with Ted Hudako. I'm friends with all of those poor parents that have suffered. I'm also friends with Abigail Martinez, who lost her daughter completely. She was involved. The CPS was involved, and she went on all hearings just like us. And she got what she wanted, and she threw herself under the train. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm
She
also friends with another mom from the post-Soviet Union country. She is very famous on X. Her name is Elvira. She testified. She gave a speech on FTC, and she's very popular on X. True Teller is her handle, and if need be, I can connect you to her because her daughter committed suicide after CPS was also involved. It's just that she was turning 18 very soon. Our daughter
mm-hmm.
is turning 18 next year, and her daughter Eileen received testosterone, and she took her life by overdosing Benadryl. And she lay 4 days unattended in a dorm in a university in New Jersey. So that's all speaks about one thing, that young, fragile girls are being hunted for, that the sterilization program, Eugenics 2.0, is in place in California, and that a lot of more parents are going through this, but they are afraid to speak. They are silenced just like us and intimidated.
I'm
My daughter confessed to me that Dr. Sager has been able to convince many families. I was trying hard to look for those victims. I never succeeded. I imagine that those people are either intimidated to reach back, or they are Transhausen parents who eagerly do that to their children. That needs to be figured out. I don't have resources to do that.
right.
I'm also friends with other parents who were also wronged by the same dependency court, and I'm sure that they will be willing to speak if need be. At least 3 parents who got TPR'd, who got who lost the custody of their children, and who are fighting pro se because they simply have no money to hire an attorney. The situation in Shasta County is very deplorable. This
Mm-hmm.
CLC was merged with One Safe Place run by Kimberly Johnson, and I'm willing to provide the Mountaintop Media links upon their investigation into the CLC overspending $20 million. Also, they're working on another facility to be established, and it's been a huge scandal in Redding, Shasta County. It's easy to find. And Kimberly Johnson renamed the CLC Arch Collaborative, so everything is trackable. That place is a very suspicious child trafficking hub that while we only saw Sager there, it changed 3 directors. Their secretaries at front desk were lined with gold bracelets and chic clothes. The lobby and bathrooms itself, they're glisten with as if they're remodeled every single day. But right now, I know where the money comes from. Some Red Wing activist shared that Stephanie Bridget, who is DA in Reading, She granted 6 million or $7 million from Zog Fire to CLC, and who is actually at the board of directors from on CLC. I recommend looking up their team
Mhm.
that also had Mike Johnson, the chief sheriff, Judy Flores, the former, and now Mike, I forgot his name, he is the present superintendent of all schools. Aaron Resner, economist and politician.
Mm.
Kimberly Johnson, I just mentioned. Can you imagine why the cream of society would sit on board of a mental health clinic? That raises a lot of questions.
Mhm.
Also, for your information, Laura Birch was fired in the year of 2023 for HHS for misplacing at least $6 or $7 million. So that's a lot of money laundering going on in Shasta County.
Oh,
Imagine who the beneficiary is.
oh. I can only imagine. This is terrible. I'm glad you came on to speak. Is there anything else you would like to add?
I want to say that today is ours, but tomorrow can be yours. And all children are not just someone else's children. And by helping our family, spreading the word, looking for a federal investigation into this lawlessness and mafia in Shasta County, you're helping your own children, your own generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was former president's administration that actively sponsored and promoted transgender ideology, puberty blockers, and lowering their age on young and fragile minds.
Mm.
Trump is doing a lot of good things, but it's not enough. We have to raise up to this blatant, unhinged CPS and dependency judges unaccountability. We've
Mm.
got to raise up and do something before it's too late. Parents, wake up. Helping us, you help yourselves.
Right. It's my opinion that the judiciary is has been destroying this country from the inside out using our youth.
I
And I
agree.
was reading something, I had come across something, it was an article about, what was it, a year ago, where it was talking about Hitler and, the Hitler youth camps, right? And
Yes.
so this, apparently they had a camp for girls, and this mother was figuring things out what was going on in these camps because they wanted to breed and bring forth the Aryan race.
Yes.
So she went to the camp and raised hell, and they escorted her home and she never returned. I don't know what happened to that mother, but they were in total control of what was going on. And I think that is possibly, obviously, happening there.
California, Goebbels, uh, and I forgot the name. They
Himmler,
inspired Hitler. Goebbels,
Himmler, maybe.
Goethe, Charles Goethe.
Okay.
They inspired Nazi Hitler to do this. And California, Sacramento University, I guess. So that's exactly what's happening right now. Americans, unfortunately, are not learning their history, which is costing a lot of lives of our children.
Hmm. I agree. Now, I know we talked earlier, and if anyone wants to reach you, they can come through me
Yes.
at dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com if they have any questions or any input. But Ellie, thank you for speaking out, but don't jump off, okay? Slam the Gavel's a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Marianne Petrie. You can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Google, and other platforms I don't know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you, Ellie. Thank you for speaking out.
Thank you so much for listening.